Hello again. You got one more to go before lunch, and I hope that this is the best. So we at ATPCO and in the industry are here for airlines, right? We're in service of the airline industry, so who should we be hearing from but airlines? So it is a great privilege for me to introduce the heads of distribution for the big three US airlines. And I'd like to invite our friends from Delta, United, and American onto stage for an introduction. The four of us think that this may be the first time in history in the recent past that this has happened where the big three US airlines are on stage together, so very excited about this. We're going to be talking about the future of airline retailing from airlines themselves. So I'd like to introduce Jeff Lobel from Delta Airlines, Ty Radcliffe from United, and Neil Guerin from American Airlines. Enjoy. Thank you. And so after the presentation, we will be doing a panel. So please, your app, you can submit questions if you find this session, submit questions during their presentation or during the panel, and we will, I will definitely bias towards your questions rather than mine. So please submit questions. Enjoy.
Thanks, Bob. All right, so what's so important that Delta, American, and United are all standing here together to talk to you guys? And furthermore, we're doing it in front of 340 people, and we're standing between you and your lunch. So the reason that we're here is because in the few short minutes that we're going to be standing on this stage, 1,000 customers between the three of us that are shopping on our indirect channels are going to buy a product that was not the right product for them. And a further 300 customers are going to give up on the experience entirely and just go to our websites and forget about shopping on the indirect channels at all anymore. That's the call to action. To us, that is a major problem because the indirect channels are critical to the success of all of us. And not only all of us, but all of us. Our most important customers are doing their shopping through the indirect channels. And so we need to do what we can to go elevate that experience, and so we can stop leaking all of the revenue that's leaking away, but also producing the negative customer experiences that are happening. So why is this happening? In order to understand, we need to step back in time. Once upon a time, this industry was actually relatively simple, at least from a distribution standpoint. There were two classes of service, right? There was first class and there was economy class. It was one size fits all. The only interesting thing about that first class picture is there's actually someone sitting in a seat. Because as we know, through most of history, the first class cabin was not priced to sell. So it was pretty much economy class. And the experience was one size fits all. So there was no difference in the onboard experience, there was no difference in the boarding experience, there's no difference in the seats you got. It was a one-size-fits-all experience. And so there was only one objective for shoppers, and that was to find the lowest fare. And so it's no accident that our entire distribution network was built around identifying the lowest fare and selling the lowest fare. It made perfect sense at the time. But that was yesterday. And today, we're in a dramatically different world where the days of first class and economy class have been replaced by this. And that's just for the three of us that are standing here. If we multiply that by all the other carriers that are here, I believe there were 81 airlines, there's 78 others, and if we take their products and we put them on this sheet, that poor lady at the bottom is going to be buried like an old dinosaur bones. So the challenge then becomes, what do we do when the airlines have evolved our product lines to provide different experiences to different customers and different value propositions with a wide variety of choice? What happens when that bumps up against a distribution network that was built and continues to be oriented around the lowest fare?
Thank you, Jeff. So one of the things we want to take a look at is how the airlines are evolving our own website. So the first thing you see up here is American Airlines. And for those of you in the back of the room, I'll try to take a moment to explain what you're looking at. On the far left side, of course, you have your flight information and times, but then you have basic economy, main cabin, business, and then first. So think of it as left side is the least expensive, moving to a nicer and nicer experience for the customer all the way over to the right. This is my website, United Airlines, same type of thing. The first column you see there is basic economy, and then standard economy. Moving further to the right, your right, you're seeing a nicer and nicer experience for the customer, and it gets more and more expensive. And then, of course, Delta. It looks, very similar. The customer is starting to get used to this experience where, okay, I'm seeing the most cost-effective option on the left, sort of bare bones, and as I move to the right, I have a better and better experience. And so the key point is, though, when our customers are booking in third-party channels, they don't always get that same experience. In fact, they often don't. Here's an image of a corporate booking tool. And basically, you're seeing a list of flights with prices. Now, in fairness, if you drill down, you do start to see some different fare type opportunities. But that initial display is a 180 from what a lot of the airlines in the room are trying to do in terms of that display. Another popular OTA, the same type of thing. Again, there are drill down opportunities, and fully aware that we're trying to take 500 airlines throughout the world and figure out how to boil all those products and services into something that's easy to consume. That's not an easy task. I only have to worry about United. But I think that there is this disparity between what customers are seeing on a supplier site and what they're seeing in third-party channels. Another example here of what you might see. But what all this is leading up to is this. In the indirect channels, if you're a customer that's shopping through a TMC or an online booking tool, you are 3 to 4 times less likely to buy one of our premium options. Now, this is not to say that the TMCs are doing a poor job. I would hazard a guess to say that most of the business and first class tickets that we sell indeed come through third parties. They come through agencies that are selling business tickets, no question about it. But in terms of upselling to a better economy experience or something that, when they didn't specifically search for the business class cabin, it's less likely to have customers even know that those other products exist. And then in the OTA channels, the customers are 3 to 4 times more likely to buy the basic economy because in many cases, they don't even realize exactly what they're buying.
Thanks, Ty. Yeah, and I imagine if you're in the room and you are a third-party channel, some of this may sound a little self-serving that we'd be standing up here saying this. And the reality is, with all of those differences that we've walked through here, we are all seeing pretty tremendous growth in our direct channels. Customers are moving away from other channels and coming to our direct channels for some reason. I can't speak to Delta and United and how they work to drive more direct bookings, but I can tell you at American, this isn't a result of us spending a lot more money on marketing. It's that customers actually want to engage with products and services in a different way than they have in the past. And so what I'd say about that is if you are in the room as an airline, a great opportunity for you if you haven't engaged on this front. There's a lot of opportunity to win new business. If you're a third-party channel, this is what you're competing with to some degree, not just with the airlines, but also with other parties who are starting to move down this path. And so it really does feel like customers are starting to demand more information, demand a better experience, and as they do, we're seeing better results on the revenue front across all of our airlines. So we haven't really talked about NDC, but when we talk about just those fare buckets, whether it's main basic economy all the way out to first class and all the differences that come with that, that's great, but what's coming down the pipe with NDC is a whole lot more variation, whether it's
offers and content, and its bundles, and all sorts of different ways that we could progress to showing products and services in new and fresh ways for customers, depending on how those customers want to see them. That's great. That's going to add to the abilities. It's also going to make it harder. To Ty's point, there's going to be a lot of options out there that we'll have to consider as a whole industry. But what it won't do is modernize displays. I think that's the dirty little secret of NDC, is that we can do all the work we want to do as an industry to make it happen, but if it doesn't actually show up to the customer when they're making their booking, we haven't done ourselves any good at all. So this is an area we think is really ripe for improvement going forward. And it's not just us. There's a lot of agencies that are making headway on this. I see Jeff Klee taking a picture of his own website. So, way to go, Jeff. So we've got lots of agencies out there that are starting to dip their toes in these waters, and they're doing it in different ways, and they're testing and they're learning. And I think that's where we're going to be for the next year or so. But that is a really healthy place for all of us to be going forward.
So we have a dream up here, Neil and Ty and I. And we're distribution people, so we dream maybe a little differently than normal people.
Much more nerdy.
But our dream looks something like this. This is what we're calling the next generation storefront. And what we are doing is we're taking everything that is working so well for us on our direct channels, on our websites, and we're taking that and we're simply applying it to a third-party experience that, to Ty's point, is going beyond just one carrier. So this is a New York to Los Angeles. You can see all the different carriers, or at least a subset of the carriers that are competing on that route. You can see not just the lowest fare, but you can see all of the fares and products that are being offered, and they're being categorized in columns that help a customer understand the comparability between those products. So let me take a moment and let you guys digest this for a minute. We are not, the lowest fare is still alive and well. We know that that's still a very important product for a lot of customers. So it is still there. It is just being supplemented by other options. And the information about those other options is being represented by the little staircase there at the top that gives a sense for the difference in product attributes that exist as you go to the right side of the page. And this will be supplemented with probably icons and that sort of thing that gives a sense for what the specific attributes of each of these products are. The beauty of this to us is that it gives you all of your choices up front. As Amtrav has already figured out, and I think all of us have a lot of opportunity here, it's a much more natural shopping experience to have your choices in front of you instead of having to go click around to find them. And so that's the first big benefit of this. The second big benefit is, we like to think that the entire customer base out there has memorized and digested all of our brand names and all of the product attributes that are associated with them, but that might not be completely true. And so this gives us a chance in one column to say to a customer who doesn't otherwise know that United's Economy Plus and Delta's Comfort Plus and American's Main Cabin Extra are pretty much the same experience, and then you can make your decision as to which of those you're most interested in. So this is what we view as the next generation in airline retailing. So what's taking us so long? Well, it takes all of us to get here. So this is one of those, it truly does take a village to get there. So, and this is just a subset of the obstacles, none insurmountable, between us and this dream of ours. The first is that we have to provide expanded content at first request. The idea that a first request can return only the lowest fare, and then once that is selected, then more products can be shown. I only ask if that if that model is being followed anywhere else in the business world besides airlines, where you have to go grab something you don't want first before you can see what your other choices are. So that's the first challenge we have, is to make all content available at initial request. The second is we've got to get away from these 4 cabin categories that I can't tell where they originated from, but this idea, no matter where you shop on a third-party channel, there's a drop-down screen, and it gives you 4 choices, which are economy, premium economy, business, and first. That no longer fits the product line of us and many other carriers that are out there. That drop-down screen, hopefully everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's the only way you can get past the lowest fare on the indirect channels. That drop-down screen needs to go find a quiet beach, to go play with its friend, the telephone, and the Betamax, because that does not work anymore. And the fact that it's still sitting out there every day, and our corporate customers and other customers are using that to filter results, is not our dream. That's our nightmare. So we need to get over that one. The third is we need to be able to group products in a like way. And as Ty said, that's a challenging one, because these products that all carriers are kind of individually creating are not standardized. And so we're going to have to find a way to categorize them in a way that makes sense to a customer. Is that going to be easy? No. Is that going to take some healthy debate among carriers but also GDSs and agencies? Sure. But it can't be insurmountable, because the hotels have figured it out, right? They've got their star rating system. That's not perfect either, but it's a whole lot better than selling nothing but 1 stars. And the car rental industry's figured it out as well. They've got their categories of different types of cars, and you're not just buying the economy compact. So it has been done before. It just needs to be done now. And that is our call to action, not just from the 3 of us, to all of the carriers that are here, the agencies that are here, the GDSs that are here, the online booking tools that are here. This is something that takes all of us, because without each of these challenges being addressed and solved, we can't get there. But if we can't get there, we're nowhere. And so this is in our mind the central challenge. And as Neil said, I think there's a lot of energy around NDC these days, but NDC is not going to solve this. And I love the term Neil used, which is the dirty little secret of NDC, is that we can be full scale on NDC, and we could still be living in this same world we're in today, and we're really nowhere.